Hopefully by now I've convinced you that a business outcome-driven data strategy is the right data strategy for your business, that the time is now in order to execute on that strategy. And lastly, that it's very achievable and doable. You know, in our experience here at SAP, working internally as well as with our customers, we have defined 5 steps to creating an enterprise data strategy and then deploying a data program. Now, SAP can assist you in these 5 steps by either providing you with consulting services, with training, or with technical or industry experts to help you get your data strategy in order. Step 1 is the align phase. In the align phase, the data strategy champion is gaining agreement across the company to the various stakeholders, both in the business and IT, to why a business outcome-driven data strategy is needed, and is aligning all of the key stakeholders to the rationale. Schedule the various workshops where you will define all of the components to the data strategy and getting all of the key participants lined up for those workshops. And by the way, this is one of the most difficult phases to get that first level of agreement, so it may take a couple of iterations. The second step is the define phase. In the define phase, the data strategy champion first establishes a draft of business outcomes. That draft is developed by researching the company documents and websites and is done through a process that we'll show you later in the series. Once you have the initial point of view, then you can start running your workshops. And your workshops will help you validate what are the business outcomes and did you get those right, as well as prioritizing what are the business outcomes that are most important. Once you have your business outcomes defined, then you can establish and define the business processes that have to impact those outcomes. And once you have the business outcomes defined, then what's the data that enables the business process to enable the business outcomes? That's how this process works, right? And once you have the business process, the data, the critical data, you're also able to get some of the key metrics, some of the organizational structures defined, and even potentially some of your quick wins. This can all be done in a workshop mode with your different stakeholders. And it might take you more than one workshop in order to get to that point where you have all of the capabilities, outcomes, and processes defined. Step 3, that's the design phase. Coming out of Step 2, where you've defined your business outcomes, your business processes, and your data capabilities, now you have what it takes to put together the end-to-end data architecture and the data roadmap that will enable that architecture. In Step 4, you're ready to start to initiate your data program. You've taken all the results from the workshops in Step 2 and Step 3, and you're now ready to formally stand up a data program to execute on the strategy that you've just defined. In order to stand that program up, you're going to have to finalize the organizational structure, the roles and responsibilities, who's going to be in charge. Is it going to be that same data champion that put together the strategy, or will it be a different organization? With that organization in place, you're going to kick off some projects. Those projects are tied to the strategy and the roadmap that you've defined in the previous. And finally, what are the metrics you're going to use to measure your progress on your program? And the last phase is the deliver phase. So now you've stood up your program, you've started your programs, you've got your metrics, and now it's that ongoing program of deploying those projects, measuring success, communicating results. In preparation for the next class, where we're going to start to dive into the process of identifying business outcomes, I'd like you to do a little research and some homework. You need to really understand your company from a business perspective, as your business stakeholders do. So go do some research. You need to understand how your company makes money. What are its products? What are its services? What are its partners? What are its competitors doing? What's the industry trend? Review your company's external website. See what it says about itself, its mission, and its scope. Take a look at the business model canvas. It's a template and a tool that's available on the web, and that will also provide a link in our material. The business model canvas, if one is available for your company, will give you some very interesting internal information about its customers, its partners, its value propositions, and its internal processes. In addition, the Context Map Canvas is another interesting template that could give you an external view of your competitors, of your external drivers, of your industry legislation that can also help you in your business outcomes. You know, the reality is the more that you know about the inner workings and the external workings of your company, the easier identifying those business goals and outcomes in the next phase. Once you have those business outcomes defined, then you're going to start to understand what are the business processes that have to be enabled, and then what are the data capabilities that will enable those business processes. And those components can consist of not just the technical strategy, as I said, but what are the process capabilities, what are the organizational capabilities, what are the high-level metrics, and even if there's some quick hits that you can do immediately.